Hey everyone, good morning. In this video, we are going to cover 3 tips if you have tight hips, if you are a runner. So it is Sunday here, it's long run day. We're 4 weeks away from the Cheshire Half Marathon. Hopefully everyone's training is going well. Hopefully you're building up that mileage of those long runs on the weekend. And I just wanted to kind of share some tips with you. For those that don't know, I am Dr. Duane Scotty. I'm a physical therapist with Spark Physical Therapy, and I wanted to share some of my thoughts during my run this morning with you if you do complain of tight hips, because that is something that is a common question that I tend to get, and I talked to a couple of clients about that this week, specifically as it relates to tight hips, either before you start running, during your run, or after your run. So tip number 1 is to dynamically stretch before you go out for your run. So before you run, when you're running, obviously you are contracting certain muscles. So you are contracting your hip flexors when you run. It helps to stabilize your hip when your foot lands on the ground. And if you're like most people and you do have a sitting job where you're sitting most of the day, you're at a desk, or you have a really long commute and you're in the car for 45 minutes to an hour, your hip flexors are in a shortened position and they tend to feel tight. So if you go out there and try to go for a run and then you're wondering why your hips feel tight, it's because the muscles aren't appropriately warmed up. So there's not enough blood flow into the muscles, and therefore they're going to feel tight. They're not going to feel like they want to move. They're not going to feel like they want to activate during your run. Does that make sense? Does that make sense that if we're trying to ask a muscle to contract and stabilize and work while we're running, but it is cold, the muscle's cold and in a shortened state, that it's not going to work as effectively as we want it to, and then it will feel tight? If it does make sense, type in "makes sense" in the comments box below. So that was really tip number 1, dynamic warm-up. I did post actually a great exercise that I like to do before my runs, before my workouts, especially for those that sit most of the day, is the scorpion exercise. So if you're looking for that post, you can scroll back a couple days. If you are watching this on YouTube, there is a Spark Runner YouTube channel, and you can find the scorpion post to fix tight hips. And that's a nice video of a great dynamic exercise to stretch the hip flexors, the front of your hip, especially if they feel tight. There are others, so there are other hip flexor stretches that you can do, but you want to do these actively, or what we call dynamically. Not so much holding for 30 to 40 seconds for X number of time. The other thing is that foam rolling would be a great option here as well. So before your runs, definitely foam rolling helps, we know, to kind of stimulate the nervous system, helps to loosen up the hips a little bit, or at least we feel like it is a little bit looser, right? So it feels a little bit looser when we go out for our runs. So foam rolling would be a great option here. So tip number 2 is not only focus on stretching the front of the hips, but it's activating and strengthening the opposing muscle group. So in this case, that would be the glutes. So your glute maximus, right? So the big butt muscle there, that would be the one that we want to activate and stretch or strengthen. And when we do that, we actually dynamically stretch the opposing muscle group, the hip flexors. So we're getting a little more bang for our buck there, 2-for-1 special. All right, so think about any glute activation exercise that you can do. That will help alleviate the tightness that you have in the front of the hips. Point number 3. Tip number 3 here is to do static stretching after your runs. So this is where you're going to want to do your traditional stretching, is after the runs. During your run, your muscles are contracting at a vigorous rate a lot of times throughout the run, and those muscles can get tight, short, they're constantly contracting. What do we want to do after our runs is to relax that muscle, restore it back to its resting length. All right, so we're also calming down the nervous system as well. So think about doing your static stretching, meaning hold 30 seconds to a minute, 2 minutes, whatever you want to hold for. This is where we want to get your body to relax and really stretch out when the muscles are filled with that blood flow. Okay, that's the best time to do this. All right, so if tightness in the hips, usually caused by the hip flexor muscle group, Could also be the rectus muscle, which is one of your quad muscles. That can also be a common culprit for tightness in the hip muscles. So if this video was helpful for you, I would appreciate a like or a love. That will help more people like yourself who found this helpful be able to see this video to help them either before their runs or after their runs to kind of fix tight hips. If you have any questions at all and you're watching this either on Facebook or on YouTube, please type in the comment box your question below, or if it was helpful, type in the word helpful if it's helpful for you. All right, I greatly appreciate it. I hope everyone has a great long run. I hope they have a good training week coming up with your running. And again, this has been Dr. Duane Scotti, physical therapist with Spark Physical Therapy. We help athletes and active adults keep doing the workouts and the sports they love without pain, rest, or stopping kind of the activity or making multiple trips to the doctor every week. So if that is some of the things that you believe in, and just like I am very passionate and I believe about that, and you want to hear about more information, please visit our website, sparkyourtraining.com, all one word. Make it a great day.